Welcome to the Storymakers podcast. I'm Talina Adamo. Today, I'd like to share an article with you. Why most beginner filmmakers start too big. Start small, finish strong. If I could go back and give my younger filmmaker self one piece of advice, it would be this. Start smaller. Nope, even smaller than that. It sounds strange, doesn't it? We spend so much time dreaming about making movies that the last thing we want to hear is to make them smaller. We imagine sweeping landscapes, emotional performances, elaborate sets, action scenes, and long runtimes. After all, if we're finally going to make a movie, shouldn't it feel like a real movie? I certainly thought so. Like many aspiring filmmakers, I had ideas that were much bigger than my experience. My imagination was writing checks my production skills couldn't cash yet. There's nothing wrong with dreaming big. In fact, I hope you never stop dreaming big. But I learned something over the years that completely changed the way I approach filmmaking. The size of your first project doesn't determine your potential as a filmmaker. Whether or not you finish it does. Every decision you make while writing a screenplay creates more work later. Another page means more scenes to shoot. Another location means more scouting, more travel, more scheduling, and more opportunities for something to go wrong. Another actor means another schedule to coordinate, another performance to direct, and another person depending on you. Another prop has to be purchased, borrowed, transported, and remembered on shoot day. When you're writing, these decisions take seconds. When you're producing a film, they can take weeks. That's why so many beginner filmmakers experience the same cycle. You finish writing the script, you're excited, you begin planning. Then reality starts knocking on the door. The location falls through, an actor has to cancel, the budget starts growing, the equipment list gets longer. Suddenly, the project that felt exciting starts feeling overwhelming. I've watched countless filmmakers get stuck in this stage. Some never make it to production. Others begin filming but never finish editing. Some finish the film, but they're so exhausted by the process that they don't make another one for years. That's heartbreaking because the goal of your film isn't to create a masterpiece. The goal is to learn how to finish. Finishing teaches lessons that no filmmaking book, online course, or YouTube video ever can. You learn how to communicate with actors. You learn how to solve problems. You learn what worked and what didn't. Most importantly, you begin believing that you can actually finish what you start. That confidence is worth more than any expensive camera you'll ever buy. A lesson I had to learn the hard way. Looking back, I actually didn't do too badly on my very first short film. The screenplay came in around 12 pages. Was it my best writing? Not even close. But for a first attempt, it was manageable, and more importantly, I finished it. That project taught me more than I realized at the time. Unfortunately, instead of taking those lessons and making another small film, I did what many new filmmakers do. I immediately decided I was ready for something much bigger. I started producing a music documentary. In my mind, I wasn't just making a documentary. I wanted it to feel like a television special that celebrated artists who refused to give up on their dreams. The idea excited me so much that I couldn't wait to get started. Looking back now, I realize I fell in love with the concept before I had truly figured out the story. My opening introduced me as the main character. I talked about what music meant to me, how it had inspired me throughout my life, and how these incredible musicians reminded me to never give up on my own dreams. Then the artists appeared. They performed beautiful songs, they shared their experiences. I interviewed them in a question and answer format, believing each conversation would naturally build on the one before it. Finally, I wrapped everything up with a closing message. On paper, it looked complete. It had an introduction, it had a middle, it had an ending, or at least I thought it did. When I finally watched the finished documentary, something didn't feel right. I couldn't explain it. Something was missing. For years, I struggled to understand exactly what that feeling was. Today, I think I finally know. I had created a documentary full of interesting conversations, but I hadn't built one strong story for the audience to follow. Maybe I shouldn't have made myself the main character. Maybe one of the musicians should have carried the emotional journey. Or maybe every interview should have supported one larger narrative that connected everything together. I'm honestly still not sure which approach would have been the best one. What I do know is that the film never found the emotional structure it needed. The message was there, the talent was there, the heart was there. The story wasn't. I had a message, but I hadn't yet learned how to turn that message into a compelling story. When I finally finished the documentary, it came in at 47 minutes. That wasn't an accident. I intended to make a longer documentary. There was nothing wrong with dreaming that big. The mistake was believing I was ready to tackle a project of that size as only my second film. Looking back, I can see that I skipped an important step in my growth as a filmmaker. Instead of making another short film and continuing to build my storytelling skills, I jumped into a production that required far more experience than I had at the time. I wasn't just writing a longer project anymore. I was coordinating multiple interviewees, filming in multiple locations, scheduling production days, organizing hours of footage, and tackling a much more complicated edit. I had dramatically increased the complexity of the project before I had mastered the fundamentals. If I could do it over again, I wouldn't abandon the documentary idea. I still believe in it today. I would simply test the concept first. I'd follow one artist. I'd create a 3 to 5 minute version, learning everything I could, gather feedback, fix what wasn't working, and only then expand it into the larger documentary I originally envisioned. That experience completely changed the way I think about filmmaking. Dream big, start small. Today, when someone asks me how to make their first film, my advice usually surprises them. Write a story that can be filmed in one location. Use 2 or 3 actors. Keep it between 1 and 3 minutes if you can. Some people worry that those limitations will make their film less creative. I found the opposite to be true. Limitations force creativity. When you can't rely on 10 locations or elaborate visual effects, you have to rely on stronger storytelling. You have to ask better questions. How do I build tension? How do I reveal character? How do I make the audience care? Those are the questions that make great filmmakers. Every completed short film becomes the classroom for the next one. Your second film will be better than your first. Your third will be better than your second. Not because you bought better equipment, because you became a better storyteller. There will always be time to make the larger film you've been dreaming about. The bigger crews, the bigger budgets, the bigger productions. But don't let those dreams stop you from making the small film you can finish today. Because filmmakers aren't made by dreaming about movies. They're made by finishing them. One finished 3-minute film will teach you more than the screenplay for a feature that never gets made, or a production that becomes so ambitious it costs you far more time, money, and energy than it needed to. Enjoy this article? One of the biggest reasons I created the Beginner Filmmaker Blueprint was to help aspiring filmmakers avoid many of the mistakes I had to learn through trial and error. It's a step-by-step course designed to help you write, plan, film, and finish your very first short film with confidence. For a limited time, you can enroll for 50% off. Use the coupon code FIRST50 at checkout to bring the price from $99 to just $49.50. More than just a course, you'll join a filmmaking challenge and a supportive community of creators who are taking the same journey. Ready to make your first film? Click the link below to learn more. Thank you for listening.